Hello and welcome to another episode of Fine is a Four-Letter Word. My guest today, Tara LaFon Gooch. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me today, Lori.
My pleasure. We met through a networking event, or like an online networking thing where I was the presenter. And then we just stayed in touch on LinkedIn. I mean, this is again the power of I love LinkedIn as a way to connect with people.
Absolutely. And stay in touch. And you know what? That networking event was so funny because it was the first one. I've told you that. It's the first one I ever went to. I didn't know anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I got it was very, the stars aligned, I guess, with
Yeah.
you being the presenter.
Absolutely. And then a few weeks ago, when I was in Greensboro, North Carolina, we had the opportunity to meet up and have vegan burgers for lunch.
And they were good.
They were good.
I've never had, so mine was the bacon cheeseburger, and I'd never had vegan bacon before.
Uh huh.
It I I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I've heard it was good.
Dare I say I actually preferred it to a regular normal burger because it's not greasy too.
Ah, yeah.
Oh.
Very cool. Yeah, so that's part of the beauty of what I'm doing in nomad life is that I get to meet up with people that I in person that I've never met before that we've just known each other online. And that's been so cool. All
Yeah.
right, so let's jump into the meteor part. See how I use that word? The meteor. Tell me the values and beliefs that you were raised with as you were growing up that contributed to you becoming who you are now.
Wow. It's such a short question, but such a lot to unpack. I was raised in a really religious household. I'm not religious. I don't prescribe to certain religion. I more just am a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I think it shaped me in who I am and what I value in one of the ways, just that kind of love thy neighbor.
Mm.
I realized for me you don't really need anything else. If you just got practice that one excerpt, your life would be different, everyone's life would be different, and it doesn't matter what religion we are, it doesn't matter what gender we are or how we were raised or what our background is or socioeconomic status. What matters is that we're all human, and to just love each other. And I think that was a big takeaway for me and really put me on a path to just kindness and empathy towards others, compassion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would say that would be one thing from my childhood that kind of, brought me to a little bit of where I am today.
Uh-huh. Cool. It's interesting that you mentioned kindness and compassion and empathy for others because as we get into your story, you didn't have a lot of that for yourself.
That's right. It's really easy to have happen, I think, right? Like I said, we're all human beings. We're all figuring it out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy for us to give to others. And I'm a natural giving person. I like it. It makes me feel joyful. It makes me feel grounded and grateful.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to remember to give back to ourselves, and not just give back to ourselves, actually give to ourselves first.
Yeah.
And, some people go their whole lives without making that realization. Thankfully,
Absolutely.
hey, mine came in my late 30s, but it still came. And, that's part of the journey, right? It doesn't have to be super early on. You can figure it out and then make a change and go, right? And uh, adapt and evolve from there, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So before we get into the moment that you were sitting in your garage, what led up to that?
Yeah, so backstory. Um, you know, I talk about this in my recently released TEDx talk as well.
Which is fabulous. So
Oh,
anybody, I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. Anybody who's listening must go look at it. Yes. Or
no, thank
listen,
you.
whatever, watch.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Go
definitely.
on.
Um, my whole life for as long as I can remember, I was sad. Um, I felt alone. I didn't feel like anybody understood me. And I really was lacking confidence. So I grew up, many people can relate to this, from a broken home. My father was never in my life. And when he was, you didn't want him to be, right?
Mm,
Abusive, alcoholic, um, other things, lots of other things I don't want to get into, but
hmm
we'll stick with there. Abusive and alcoholic. I haven't seen him since I was 14 years old. I never felt like intentional, like I was here for a reason.
hmm
And, part of that, just unconfidence, if you will, was brought on by that, some childhood adversities and trauma, and just never feeling like you're enough. And I want to emphasize this because people are shocked when they hear me talk about confidence, because they look at me, they see the red lipstick, I do my hair, I do my nails, I try to look good. I present myself with confidence now. So they can't imagine how someone could be less than confident before. Well, it's called a transformation for a reason,
Yeah.
right? But anyway, I won't get in. That's a separate
No, it
conversation.
is. It is
But
interesting though, because so many people see what is now, whether it's in
yes,
business or in a human. And because I get the same thing, people are like, what do you mean you were shy when you were a kid? Like, you'll talk to anybody. No, but this is who I've transformed into, not who I like. Everybody has a place where they started, and it could be very different from where they are now and what you're seeing.
yes, 100%, right? So it's not where I am now. But look at this and
Hmm
say, well, if I'm feeling less than confident, if I'm stuck in this cycle of depression, of self-hatred, of self-loathing, suicidal thoughts and tendencies, if I'm stuck in this cycle of depression where my thoughts are just ruminating and my anxiety's increasing and my chest feels tight, like it's hard to breathe, I know what all of those things feel like because I
hmm
lived it.
hmm
And I kind of, think there's, and then there's people that also that say, well, if you're confident, then you'll always be confident, right? Like, I'm sure you don't struggle with confidence anymore. I would be trying to sell you something, a pill. If I said, Lori, if you read my book, you're never going to have self doubt again, I'd be
hmm
selling you something. Honestly, that's not true. It's a lifestyle change. It's habits. It's
Yeah.
consistency over time. It's a belief. It's a vision of a greater sense of yourself, right? And
hmm
it's a
hmm
lot of things. And we can't, just look at somebody and say, oh, I guess you'll never have to work on confidence again. Again, I would be trying to sell you some snake oil or a pill or
Right,
something.
right, right. Well, it kind of reminds me of like anything, you have to do it consistently, like whatever that is. Like,
Right.
do you think confidence is a choice?
I think it's a choice. I think it's a lifestyle. I think it's an energetic vibration.
Hmm
I think it's a lot of things. We think of confidence as like this one dimensional kind of plane. It's a holistic, multi-dimensional plane. It's like self-care, self-love, like sure, but what else? Okay.
Mm,
So once you get to that layer and you've come, like, what else is there? What else can you do? You can start to align your energy on a higher vibrational state, right?
yeah.
Changing your thought patterns, changing your autopilot tendencies, increasing good habits, decreasing negative, increasing positive thoughts, decreasing negative ones. And when we do have a negative one, we reframe it to
Yes.
potential, to expansion.
I right. I love that whole idea of reframing anything.
Yeah.
Anything can be reframed, even things that have already happened can be
Yes.
reframed. You can reframe how you look at your childhood. You could reframe how you look at any past situation, and it will reflect differently moving forward.
Yes.
And you said, oh, I know what I wanted to say. You were talking about confidence. And I just wanted to mention that confidence is also not like an across the board thing. Like you could feel confident in one area of your life and not so
Exactly.
much in another.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's called being a human being, right? And not to beat ourselves up for being a human being.
Yeah.
And what you said about reframing, that even the past can be reframed, absolutely. I'm a huge believer in this. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because we look back on our past, and it's not to take away uh, that from anybody, right? Maybe you
Right.
are feeling like you're suffering, right?
Hmm.
I totally have empathy for that. But how can we look at those adversities, those challenges, those obstacles, those traumas, even, and reframe it to something of positive, reframe it to something expansive? And instead of saying, I'm this victim, what if we said, how can I use this to help someone else? And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden you become that expert. All of a sudden you become that person that is helping other people through their pain of their past. What bigger calling or purpose could any of us have?
Right. Right. And how can I use this to fuel me moving forward? Or how can I use this as a foundation?
Yeah.
And you and I are on the same page with gratitude. And
Yes.
how can I be grateful, even though this can sound counterintuitive? How can I be grateful for what happened, even if it was terrible trauma? Because, and whatever, like coming up with how that could
How?
be. And
Yes.
it's interesting too, because again, not to minimize anybody's trauma or experiences they've been through, but studies on memory
Mm.
talk about how memory is so inaccurate. Like everybody's memory, even if you think you have a good memory, you are likely not remembering things exactly as they happened. And so if that is true, that makes it even easier in a way to reframe things. Go, hey, wait, I know that this happened. It's not like you're not remembering that something terrible happened, but when you're reframing it, you're telling yourself a different story.
Yep. Absolutely. And you bring up gratitude. Gratitude helps us accomplish exactly what you're talking about right
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
That gratitude actually helps create neural pathways in our brain. And if we can change our, thoughts, we can change our beliefs, we can change things from limit to expansiveness. And it starts with that gratitude. And like I was telling you at lunch, our vegan
Hmm.
burger lunch, I said
Yep.
gratitude is the law of increase. And then going back to how I met you in that networking event, that's what you talked about. You talked about gratitude. And at the time I was going through this gratitude journey, you didn't even know about it because I
Yeah.
had just hit my rock bottom point.
Yep.
And I was in this journey of understanding this concept of gratitude. You gave me a key to go to the next level and appreciate it on a yet even deeper level.
Mm.
And once I started appreciating gratitude like that, that's when those reframing began to be possible with my past.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Now, since you brought it up, that, and I didn't know like until our
Yep.
lunch that this had been the way things unfolded.
Yep.
How did you, first of all, talk about what happened? Like, what was that lowest point for you? And then how did you go from there to start? Because you said I gave you a key,
Yeah.
but you were already on the
Yeah.
path of looking at gratitude. So I'm curious how you went from that lowest point to even getting on the path of gratitude at all.
Yep. And again, if my story is proof that anybody can do this, just, let that be your inspiration for the day. So prior to 2022, I was recently diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety. You go to your doctor, they ask you to look at all these questions and check all these boxes off. Yes, no, maybe, sometimes, whatever. Well, mine was like all checked. Yes. Like, yep, I wake up depressed. Like,
Mm.
or, have you thought about suicide? Have you thought about these things, right? Whatever. Do you have ruminating thoughts? I'm like, yeah, yeah. So I was recently diagnosed with that and anxiety. And it was at the point where, when I was just like driving to work, I sometimes would throw up. I would have panic attacks. I would cry in the shower. Just like alcoholics can hide alcoholism
Mhm.
really well, there isn't nobody that can hide depression well than somebody that is already very depressed. And we look at people like Robin Williams. There was
Right.
a beauty pageant queen in New York a couple years ago. She committed suicide. She jumped off a building in New York. A ex CFO from a large company that went under last year or the year before that. Again, Kate Spade. Oh my gosh, the list goes
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Okay. We wonder, we say, oh, God, I never saw it coming. Of course
Mm.
not, because they cry in the shower and you never actually see the tears, but they're doing it.
Mhm.
So it's check up on everybody, not just the people that are going through a hard time. It's anybody. They could look like anyone. And that was my reality not so long ago. And I was at that lowest point when I didn't think I had a purpose, when I didn't want to live anymore, when I thought my life had no meaning. And very much, yeah, a transformation. It's hard to even put into words, but I think, we're so afraid of getting to this low point. But it's in that low point when you become the person you're meant to be.
Mm. Yeah. And you hear a lot of times that you have to hit, or you people have to hit rock bottom before they can go up.
Yeah,
Like if you're not there, there's something about being at that very, very bottom point
yeah,
where you don't have anywhere else to go.
yeah. And I mean, it's kind of crazy what happened after that. And it wasn't unintentional. It was, all right, I'm going to live my life to the highest degree of intention. I'm literally going to do the 180 of everything I'm doing right now, basically, right? And, so the rest is kind of history. I started believing in myself and started going after my dreams and things that were scary and that I was freaking afraid of. Like, I never would have thought I could speak on stage in front of an audience, and I've done a
Mhm.
TEDx talk. I never would have thought I could have written
Yeah.
a book. Boom, done. I never would have thought I could be a podcast host. Here I am. I'm talking to you, right? I'm on your
Uh-huh.
show. I
Yeah.
never would have thought. I never would have thought. And that's why I never had it.
Right. Because you never had the thought, and
Yes.
everything starts with the thought.
Yes. Yes. Everything.
I want to go back though, because I think people who are listening might be like, okay, but wait, you were on the verge of taking your own life. You're at the very rock bottom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the switch goes, and you're like, oh, gratitude. I need to do that. Okay, wait. There's a disconnect here.
I know, right? So it was at that lowest point. So, for starters, it was March 16th, 2022. March in North Carolina is probably the best month. It's like spring, but perfect because
Mm-hmm.
it's not hot. It's just gorgeous. It's really beautiful. Anyway, um, and I had recently left my corporate job where I felt meaningless and purposeless. I was being bullied. Extremely toxic work environment, like ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I started to feel like this culmination of my entire life has been this way. Like I said, from childhood on, this has been the reality. So I thought it would never get better because
Mm-hmm.
why would it? because
Right.
that's
Because,
in the entirety of everything I've ever known. And it got to that point where I said, I just can't do this anymore. And regardless of, beliefs, regardless of anything, I know what happened and my opinion of what happened. I was crying so hard, I was screaming.
mm,
And I said, if I have a purpose, let me know. If there's anybody that can hear me, just let me know. And it's just as clear as this.
mm-hmm,
And I heard in my mind, your life has meaning, but you need to give more.
wow.
I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had nothing to give. I had no value until I started giving. And that made me grateful. Yeah.
So and when you heard that voice and you changed your mind, was it like the next day you decided, okay, I have to figure out a way to give more? I don't know exactly what that means, but I need to figure it out and start. And what was the first act of giving?
It was going back to our conversation earlier, it was giving to myself.
Mm,
That's the power. Okay. So this is how transformation happens in
yeah.
a very quick, lightning amount of time. Something told me, I just kept feeling I need 6 weeks. I need 6 weeks. I need
Mm,
6 weeks. 6 weeks. Just like, I don't know why, but that's what the number was. 6 weeks, no alcohol. 6 weeks, working out consistently. 6 weeks, completely changing my diet. So eating just crap to like a Mediterranean based diet, fish, protein, vegetables,
uh-huh.
fruit, right? No complex carbohydrates, no artificial anything, no fried anything. No TV, no news.
Wow.
And I used to watch a lot of like crime shows, like really,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I realized that was negative.
Yeah.
Literally anything that I could take out that was low vibrational, negative, I removed from my life. Some friends you know, had to stop associating with.
Mhm.
And some other people, if anybody, and then I started to realize anybody that makes me feel less than, or makes me feel incompetent, or makes me feel unworthy or undeserving or unhappy or unjoyful, I'm going to put a boundary.
Mhm.
And I did that for 6 weeks, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's I love this story because it also taps into you heard this voice,
Yes.
which I don't
By
know. I mean, I
yourself,
think
the universe,
yeah,
intuition, God,
exactly.
it doesn't
Exactly.
matter what you put on it. It doesn't,
Right.
I'm not saying it has to be a label.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you followed like the things it sounds like things just started showing up for you as to what to do next, like change your
Yes.
diet and do a Mediterranean diet instead of
Yes.
what you were doing. Where does that come from? Like
You start
it
to
just
align
showed
with
up and you took it.
you align with an intention
Yeah,
and you listen to your instincts.
that's it.
Your gut, your body is telling you plenty of
Yeah.
information.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is not a lack of information. The problem is alignment with intentionality and not listening to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I said, I remember what anxiety felt like. I couldn't breathe. That's my body telling me. So
Mhm.
I'm getting plenty of information.
Yeah. You
Now
just didn't know
listen
what to do with it.
or apply it or take
Mm.
action or whatever
Mhm.
you want to call it. But ultimately, I wasn't living a life that was aligned in any capacity.
Yeah.
So no wonder why there's friction. No wonder why there's resistance. No wonder why success is not possible because you're
Yeah.
not in alignment.
Right. And as soon as you got in alignment, things started happening, not just
Yes.
physically in how you were feeling and how your mental health improved and your physical health, but opportunities started showing up for you. Things were like you said, lightning fast.
Yes. And that's how it happens, and that's what manifesting is. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot of information about what manifesting is, what manifesting is not. Manifesting is a result of you taking action and you having a thought process that keeps you going towards that action, keeps you going on an intentional purpose, right? And then, boom, things start to align up. Boom, opportunities start to come to you. Boom, your life starts to change. And you know what? You do this for a long enough time. And again, it should be a lifestyle change at this point
Yeah.
that you do this for a long enough time. You don't even look like the same person you did. I don't. Guess what? I don't
Mhm.
even look like that. I may have been younger then. I'll take this version of me every day, and I'm almost 40.
Yeah.
You look better and you can't fake gratitude.
Right.
It's the law of increase, but it actually radiates off of you. So, you that's not something you can fake. It's literally a vibrational state.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
just aligns things up with you.
And say again what you said when we were at lunch, because even though I have been so into gratitude for so many years, you said something that I wasn't aware of, because I've always said gratitude is the same vibration as love and joy. And you said no.
Interesting. Well, you know, gratitude it's the law. To me, it's a universal law, right? So it's a principle of the universe. It's the law of increase. So, that love and gratitude, I think, could potentially be on the same, maybe vibrational level. I think confidence is a vibrational level. I think
Mhm.
love, I think, I'm not sure, but I do think it is the law of increase. And, if you can, some people can't start with self love,
Yeah.
but maybe you can start with gratitude. I
Mhm.
don't know, just kind of start where you can increase. And I think if you start with gratitude, I think other things can fall into place. I think eventually you can love yourself.
Yeah.
So for some people, especially if you're depressed, love can even be, or joy can be a completely foreign concept to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you start with gratitude of something, of the small things, you'll find that it increases your level of love. It increases your level of joy. It increases your level of just contentment.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
like through gratitude, other things become possible. So to me, it's almost
Absolutely.
more foundational than anything else.
Yeah, I thought you had said that gratitude energetically was a higher vibration than love and joy.
I don't know. I don't think it's a level, necessarily a higher level of vibration of joy.
Okay,
It may
where
be.
did I come up with this idea then? I don't know. I went away from that lunch thinking that I had heard you say that, but okay, maybe
I
not.
definitely
But
say I have been quoted as saying that gratitude is the law of increase, though.
yes, I
Yes,
remember that for
that
sure.
is
For
that is
sure.
my
And
biggest revelation. So it's the law of
yeah.
increase for success, for personal development, for wealth, for health.
Right. So what you're saying is you cannot have more. Things can, like, whatever it is in your life cannot increase love, joy, abundance without gratitude.
Nope. Everybody's so interested in a quick scheme. Everybody's so interested in a pill.
Mhm.
It's not possible. Start with gratitude. There
Mhm.
is, the best thing about this, Lori, it's free. It
Yeah.
takes no additional resources. This can literally change anybody's life. It takes no additional resources. It is proven scientifically to, again,
Yep.
rewire neural pathways, to increase dopamine and serotonin in our brains. How about instead of trying a pill, we first try gratitude? And you know
Mhm.
what? We'll see where it goes. I'm not saying that it's a perfect solution for every problem, but it's a perfect solution to start
Yeah.
and develop and cultivate.
Right.
What I did say, I think, during our lunch was, well, it's okay. I think I lost my track there.
It's okay. It's okay. And I was gonna say something about the gratitude. Oh, that the other thing about it is that even if you are not a naturally grateful person, you can become one, because what you're talking about and what I have talked about in the past is that gratitude rewires the neural pathways in your brain. So even if you don't think you are a naturally grateful person, you can train yourself to become one.
And I remember the conversation we had now. I think I was talking about levels and layers and depth of gratitude.
Mm,
So actually, when you develop a relationship with gratitude, it deepens, right? And
mhm,
people sometimes don't understand that, especially if gratitude is something that they're relatively new in their journey of learning about.
mhm,
Think of it as the same as love. So this is where I said that. With love, there's depth to love. You can
mhm,
love someone, for example, so much deeper, over time. But so there's depths and layers to it, just the same as gratitude. And it's
mhm,
not something that's surface level. It may start as surface level. Okay, I'm going to do gratitude journaling for the day.
mhm.
And maybe it's a repetitive task, but eventually go deeper.
Yeah.
Eventually go into reframing. How can I reframe my past experiences to be increase, right? What lessons can I learn from that to increase my current reality and future realities? And go deeper with it and actually develop a lifestyle and relationship and habit towards it. But I think of it as a relationship that I have with gratitude. And it's because it's a relationship, it's something you do every day, something you practice, something that's intentional, something that's um, meaningful in your life that, just keeps you going on that path of, again, intentionality and purpose. I think I lost you, Lori. Hey.
I'm back.
Okay. No worries.
I don't know what happened. I had to reconnect through my phone because whatever internet
Oh,
weirdness happened. Um,
okay.
okay, so I'm not sure where I
That'll be
dropped off.
interesting for editing.
We will figure it out when I get to editing.
I kept talking for a while just in case, so there
Yeah,
wasn't dead air, but
it's
I
okay.
tried.
My editor will fix it. Um, okay, so whatever we said, not sure where we were going or what you were talking about when I
Oh
dropped
god.
off. But
Yeah, I think just the
um
depths, the
the depths of
gratitude.
gratitude. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all that
I
it
think
is.
we're good. Yeah, I talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, I mean, such an important point to
Yep.
keep in mind, and as a starting, like, there is a starting point and there is no end point.
Exactly. Exactly. And there never was. There never is a end point for anything.
No, this is the
There's
whole
no
infinity of life.
yes. There's no destination. Stop wondering where that destination is. When is it going to show itself? The journey is the destination, and we forget about that and lose sight of it. But again, it goes back to reframing. And I think of life like a video game,
Yeah.
because that's just the best analogy, even though I'm not a video game person at all, like zero.
Uh-huh.
I, I think of it as a similar thing, but in a video game, you have to go over, you have to defeat somebody, to get to like a next level. You have
Mhm.
to climb over and use like skills and buttons to climb over things or tools or whatever. And you have to learn in order to surpass and move on. Life is the same, except for in a video game, right? The difference is the game ends.
Mhm.
Your game, this game of life, is very similar. And what better way to live a life, an intentional one, and not be some third party character in a game, but actually be the star of the game? And
Mhm.
you can only do that by leading an intentional life, by taking obstacles and adversities and challenges as potentials for growth, and by learning from your experiences. And you know what else is a part of that? Having gratitude for it all and believing in yourself every step of the way. You can't be the
Yes.
hero in a journey if you don't believe in yourself.
Right. Yeah. Wow, that's such a great way to end this. And I, of course, cannot end it without asking you your hype song. And I know you said that it depends on the day of what song it is that you're going to share. So, what is it
It
right
really,
now in this moment?
it truly, truly does, because I'm literally the type of person that listens to any kind of music. Um, Gosh, what was I listening to the other day? Bob Marley. Now that's
Hmm.
not a hype song, but I'd really like Bob Marley.
Well,
But one of
it's kind
the
of, yeah. What's the song that gives you an extra boost of energy? It could be anything.
yeah, it really does depend on the day. I'm not a good example for this, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm not a good example. I like to tell myself more like affirmations to get me through something. So like
Okay.
workout or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, that's typically it. But the song is so dependent on my mood and day and whatever else.
All right. All right. So you're
What's
not going to give me
yours?
a song. It might, to answer this question, and because I'm really into music, so there are a lot of songs, but it would probably
Okay.
be Carrie Underwood's Champion.
Oh, okay, okay.
That
So
song
what about
fires me up.
yeah. So okay, if I think of a song like that, I think of Rocky,
Uh-huh.
the Rocky soundtrack.
Yeah.
I am the
Yeah.
tiger. I am the tiger.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I don't listen to that per se before I work out, but
Right. But all right. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
I am going to put the link to your TEDx in the show notes. I will put a link to the Rocky song in the show notes because it's what I do. And if someone wants to continue a conversation with you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yep, it's taralafongooch.com. And my book, How to Grasp Confidence and Own Your Power, the G for grasp stands for gratitude. So if this was a conversation that resonated with you, I think that book would as well. And that's available on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and being who you are and coming on today to share your story.
Thank you for having me, Lori.
We'll catch you next time on Fine is a Four-Letter Word.